How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the athleteshubpod podcast. As always, here with Mr. Flexx. How's it going, Flexx?
I'm good, man. Yeah. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. As always, getting there as we do. We're joined by Manquo. We're from Ghana as well, Manchester City supporter. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. And also here with my friend Adon, also representing the Gunners and Arsenal. And guys, listen, I think it would be good to sort of do a preview on this Sunday's game. And it's been called the title decider in the UK. And that was obviously following Arsenal's home loss to Bournemouth on Saturday and Manchester City going to Stamford Bridge and really destroying Chelsea in that second half. And the points now is only 6-point gap at the top of the table. And, you know, this Sunday's game is going to be quite key in terms of how it's going to shift, whether it's going to shift in City's favour or Arsenal's favour. So, yeah, I mean, I've got to start with you, Adon, because, you know, Arsenal lost on Saturday against Bournemouth. And I don't know, we actually met up recently, and I actually remember saying to you before the Carabao Cup final that I felt as if, number one, we'd win that final, and secondly, I felt the title race was done at that point. Yeah. And that could still be the case. But following that loss to Bournemouth, I mean, how are you feeling heading into this game on Sunday?
Nervous. Absolutely nervous. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I think not only the loss against Bournemouth, but the loss against City in the Carabao Cup final has kind of spiraled a little bit out of control, I would say. Yeah, like if we had won, then mentally the players would have gotten a big boost. But because we've lost and it seems like the players haven't mentally recovered, I mean, losing to Southampton, yes, winning against Sporting in the last minute, but it wasn't a great performance. And then losing to Bournemouth hasn't given the kick that we thought the fans would have been given to us, let's say. Yeah. And yeah, I know your preview is on the City game on Sunday, but we've actually got a game tomorrow ourselves. And depending how that goes, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We have the advantage, but yeah, all it takes is losing tomorrow and then it goes completely out of control.
Yeah, implosion. But listen, let's flip it. Manquo, I mean, City, you're heading into the game on Sunday full of confidence. You know, you look at City's run of form recently, you look at the games they've played. They beat Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final, they beat Liverpool in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and they beat Chelsea. So they've played three very tough games, actually, and they've kind of, you know, they've destroyed the teams they've played against in a way. So when you look at the game on Sunday, do you still, or do you go by the notion that it's the title decider, or do you still feel like, even if City win on Sunday against Arsenal, do you still feel like there's a lot of twists and turns still to happen?
So personally, I've accepted that Arsenal won the title. I've like, there's been zero hope from me. There's been zero hope from me that we can close that gap. But in the recent weeks, I think Arsenal have not done themselves justice. They've been leading this title race for so long, and then just one or two results, they are looking shaky. But I personally, I don't have trust in City to close that gap either, because when you expect City to win, that's when they disappoint. And when you don't expect them to win, that's when they get the result. The Carabao Cup final like this, I was expecting Arsenal to win, honestly. I didn't even want to watch the game because I was feeling that was going to be Mikel Arteta's first of 3 trophies this season. But then in the second, something just turned and we won the game. And I was like, okay. And then we went on. We beat Liverpool. I was like, okay. Against Chelsea, the first half wasn't looking good. Then the second half we won. I was like, okay, so now the feeling is, you know, is kind of creeping. It's creeping back, and they're trying to make me believe. But this Sunday, I'm going to give Arsenal their credit. I think this Sunday Arsenal will not lose the match. They are not going to lose the match. Honestly, our best we are going to get is a draw, because when it comes to games like this, when the stakes are high, that's when champions prove themselves. And I think that is the performance Mikel Arteta's men are going to give. I'm saying this as a City fan, but I'm being a realist. Because if Arsenal have been able to carry all that pressure, all that burden for over half of the season, why can't they do it now? I have more belief in them than their own fans actually.
Well, I don't think a City fan is with you with that type of talk there. But I mean, Flex, listen, we've had our weekly roundups over the last few months, and as much as I've always thought Arsenal will get the line right, they've been the best team, even though people might say, well, the teams chasing them haven't been great, but Arsenal have been fantastic. Particularly earlier in the season where they've beaten the likes of, they beat Tottenham, they thrashed them, they beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League. They've been a very, very good side. But you've always kind of remained sort of cautious that this team has it in them to bottle the league, as we say in the UK. But when we look on Sunday, right, is it really a title decider? If City were to beat Arsenal, do you really see the momentum shifting towards City, or do you still feel like there's going to be a lot of twists still to come?
I think they could just edge it. I think it's not such a big deal if they lose. It's what they do after. It's like what Adon said. It's recovering mentally more than anything. And that's what they've got to do. And I feel like that pressure is probably coming more from Mikel. I think his way of playing is, let's not try to lose, but he's forgetting we need to actually win, and in trying to win, we won't lose, and I feel like, as they always say, the old adage is the best form of defense is to go and attack, so take the game to the opposition, especially being at home to Bournemouth. I expected more. But then again, I heard that Arsenal don't have the greatest times playing that midday kickoff. A lot of fans were wary of it, so that was a bit, of a thing. But it's not the end if they don't win it, because at the end of the day, they would still be a 3-point gap. They could still possibly win the remaining games. And like Amankwa said, City this season have shown that where they're supposed to pick up 3 points is where they end up dropping 3 points, and that, I think that will be the story. It'll be a tight one. If you remember the Man City Liverpool, where it was just 1 point and, Liverpool got pipped and that was the end. I feel like it's going to be somewhere near there, that 1 to 3 point gap, but Arsenal still end up taking it. I don't want it to happen. Let me make it clear. I don't want it to happen. I've got so many bottles in my house that I just want to just take a video of all these bottles raining, just falling. That's
I think if it happens, I think Evian have got to sponsor Arsenal next season. Have you seen Evian on the shirts next season?
Oh, you're going to be like that City fan that's now giving them relevance.
No, you're a City fan. You had the Arsenal thing on this bottle.
Who's an industry plug? Industry plug.
But listen, Edon, I mean, do you agree? I mean, look, Arteta's come under a lot of pressure this season. It feels like this is now he's got to win the Premier League. And obviously, as Flex said as well, it feels as if Arsenal's approach to games is we can't lose it, rather than saying, okay, we're at home now, let's take the onus and let's put the game forward and actually let's bury Bournemouth. Bournemouth were 12th in the league. And it felt as if Arsenal, again, I guess the anxiety and the pressure from the crowd, just didn't react well to it. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think Arteta is the one holding Arsenal back, or do you think it's a player issue?
I will say as well, before giving the answer, Bournemouth played very well. Bournemouth are a very good team. There's no easy games in the Prem, just to clear that out of the way. But bit of both. Either he sets the way he sets the team out, but also the players just not playing, just not wanting to pass forward. Lots of side-to-side passing, lots of no individualism in trying to be the difference maker. I think the game, when they saw the stats, was like Raya and Rice had like the most passes, which is like, why is the goalkeeper having the most passes? You want that to be your Eze or Havertz. Okay, Eze came off the bench, but like you want it to be your Havertz, or you want it to be one of your wingers, not your goalkeeper, which is like defeating the purpose. But yeah, it just was not a good. It's a bit of both, and if he doesn't win, he is under big pressure. In my opinion,
do you think he should be sacked if he doesn't win a trophy this season?
I'm not prepared to answer that question.
Oh, come on, don't say on the fence, man.
I'm not prepared. No, I'm not. I haven't thought about it. I think if he doesn't win, there probably will be a conversation, but I don't think he gets sacked. I think he might walk.
I don't think he'll walk. I don't think he'll get sacked. I feel like they'll keep him in there. I think they'll keep him. I think he's built up this credit for 5 years, right? Yeah. And he's put Arsenal in a position where they're competing. Under Arsene Wenger's reign, even under Emery, there was no hope at Arsenal towards
Yeah.
the end of that as well. And I think he's put Arsenal in a position where they're so close now. But I think if they were to implode, it just comes down to how they've imploded. And
If
you know,
it's
I think
like they lose the City and they lose the sport,
yeah, I think
right?
that's where the questions will come in there. But
Yeah.
I don't think they'll sack him, to be honest.
And there's always Arsenal fans, a lot of them who are overreactionary, I would say. We have a very overreactionary fan base, like one win, best team on earth, best team in the world, and one, not even a loss, one draw, or even a win, but it's not a convincing win. They want the players released or something. It's just something crazy.
Yeah. Flex, what do you think, Flex? Do you think Arteta will walk or get sacked if he doesn't win anything, or do you think he'll stay there?
No, I think they keep him. I think from a performance perspective, even though not winning anything, the club is consistently finished in those Champions League spots, which is quite lucrative for those that, of course, run the club. And so penultimately, that's what they're looking at. You know, they will definitely try their best to reinforce the team as well, because they'll look at it as, man, it was close, but no cigar. So I think they'll then look to see, okay, what else can we do to kind of get this one over the line, so to speak. Back to what Aidan was saying in regards to the Rice and Raya having the most touches in the team. That is a crazy stat to actually have, considering you're playing at home. And apparently, Iraola mentioned that they just basically applied the Man City tactics and realized that if you don't press Arsenal, they genuinely have no option but to do what they just did. You know, keeping it just with the goalkeeper, trying to find a pass, but then because no one's being pressed, there is no space really to make those passes. And, you know, you hit them on a counter attack pretty much more time. And that is the key to winning the game, and they've done that. I don't know if that trick will work again this Sunday, so I'm intrigued to see how the tactical battle plays out. Arteta is no one's fool. I'm sure he would have looked back at the Bournemouth game, looked back at the City game and other games and seen, okay, we also got to make adjustments, right? And Guardiola for sure is going to look at that and think, Arteta was with me, he knows how my mind works, so maybe I need to spring another trap, something that he might not have seen coming or whatever. So I'm also intrigued, not just from a footballing perspective, but more from what are the two managers actually thinking, and who is going to bite first, and who's going to move what chess piece across the board to make something happen? Or are they both going to have a silent agreement and just take a draw and hope that other people do the dirty work? You know, these are the mind games I'm intrigued to see.
I think that the onus is on City have to win. Arsenal can go there, and I think Arsenal if you look at the Carabao Cup final, if it's not Kepa's mistake, right, City, yes, in the second half, they up the tempo, but without that Kepa mistake, the game doesn't change, I don't think. And I think after O'Reilly scored, they think, it's happened again, and they concede the second goal, which is similar to the first goal. And I think that City have to score. City have to, if City score early, the game changes. But I think it's 60, 70 minutes, and it's still 0-0. I think Arsenal will remain comfortable. But City, remember, City have to go there, and City have to win the game. They have to turn up, and they've got to play like how they played. And you've got to remember, by the way, in the Carabao Cup final, Liverpool at home and against Chelsea, in the first half, they weren't great, Man City. They turned up in the second half, but in the first half, they were slow to get going. So that's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But I mean, Amanqua, before we move on to the player focus, I've got to ask you about Pep Guardiola. I mean, there's a lot of talk about him potentially leaving Man City, right? Do you feel like whatever happens this season, he's going to leave, or do you still see him being at City for the next, maybe say at least 2-3 more seasons?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about him leaving. I think this is the second year running. And I think Guillem Balag, he's close to Spanish football, Pep, and that kind of stuff. He was like, the trouble year was the year Pep was really considering leaving Manchester City. But for some reason, he extended his contract and decided to stay. So I think, personally, I think if he's able to end this season with another trophy, he might walk. He might decide to leave football for a while and come back a few years later. But if we go the rest of the season and we flop, we don't win anything else, I think he stays for at least 1 or 2 years, because he's kind of fallen in love with Manchester City again. You see, we've got new players over the last few years, and with Kujanov, with Cherki, those are players he likes. Like he treats them like they are his sons and everything. So he's kind of falling back in love with the Manchester City team again. And I think what happens at the end of the season will be very pivotal. If he's able to end the season on a high, I think he goes for like that one more year and let's see if we can maybe grab a Champions League or something. But if we flop, I think he walks.
I think, do you know what? I think if he wins the Premier League, I think that's it. I think he'll leave because I believe that the current situation with the charges against Man City, I think that will play a huge part in his decision. Because let's just say that City are charged, and perhaps there's a transfer ban as a punishment. I don't think he has it in him to go 1 or 2 seasons with no transfer activity and build another side. I think he's done that for at least 10 years now. And I think if he's not able to, again, he went in January and he bought 2 of the best players in the Premier League, Semenyo and Mark Gahey, right? If he hasn't got a transfer window, I can't see him staying there and having that same energy to rebuild a side without any, I guess, without powerful funds or powerful means, right? So I think if he wins the Premier League, that's the ideal scenario for him. He's going to be done, as you said, walk away for a little bit. But I think the outcome of the potential charges, I think that plays a huge part in his decision whenever that's made. What do you think, Flexx, before we move on?
I mean, he's done it all at City, so no one would begrudge him if he decides to walk away. And it all depends on how these 115 charges also play out. Does he want to be there for that? Does he not want to be there for that? That is a big question, because 100, I think that is automatic relegation. If all of that checks out, then Arsenal could win the league just by mere fact that Man City are relegated from the Premier League. Does he really want to manage in the Championship and so on and so forth? Or does he now want to maybe position himself for international management or maybe another role somewhere else? So it would be interesting. I think for the league, ideally, we'd want him to stay. We'll want him to stick around because, you know, he makes the league competitive. He makes the league enjoyable to watch. And to be honest, I don't know who would be maybe the replacement for City. I don't know if maybe they look at Vincent Kompany at Bayern Munich and think, man, look, he's doing a great job over there. Maybe we bring him over here and see what he can do, etc. I don't know. But for the now, I hope he sticks around for at least an extra year at least. And especially if they don't win the league, can you then take it off Arsenal? But if they do win the league, then he might just sign out and say, yep, there you go, guys. That's my last trophy. See you later.
Well, yeah. Well, let's move on to a bit of player focus now. And Adon, I've got 3 players I've picked out for you for Arsenal this season who have, at various times throughout the season, have been very influential. And I've got to ask you about sort of Gabriel, Gyökeres, and also Max Dalman, who's kind of been the bright spark for Arsenal this season. Now, what's your thoughts on, like, firstly, Max Dalman and his impact on the team so far?
Really amazing, actually.
16 years old, it's crazy.
16 years old, yeah, is in the history books, youngest goal scorer in Prem history. Yeah, stats speak for himself, really. And at that age, doing wonderful. But it's also a little bit worrying that we're having to rely on a 16-year-old as our most creative attacker, the player that's trying to bring a spark into our game, which actually showcases how our other attackers haven't been performing as well.
Yeah.
So there's that. Gyökeres, he's had an okay season in my standards, with dependent on like the hype and the fanfare around the transfer signing, in like the amount of goals that he scored in Portugal and what he's done. He started off not great, but since like March time, he's actually started to score a bit of goals, couple of goals here and there, tried to get himself into form. I mean, outside of Arsenal, he took his country to the World Cup, which is no mean feat. Yeah, I don't think as well that we've been playing to his strengths, like just put the ball in behind into the, like, thread a pass in behind so that he can run onto it. We've not been doing that. We've just been kind of neglecting him a little bit. And yes, there are times where he's not shown for the ball or wanting to shoot whenever, but that's that. Gabriel, one of the most important players in our squad, both defensively and offensively, from set pieces, in attacking the ball, attacking aerial balls. aerial balls and kind of being the leader in our defense in a way, just being commanding in the box and outside the box as well when stepping up and playing that high line that we have. We'll also mention Raya as well, actually. Most clean sheets this season, kind of
Do
like
you think he's the best in the league, or? I'm saying no. You took time to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm taking time. I do think Donnarumma is better, like as a pure shot stopper. I do think Donnarumma does have a weakness in claiming aerial balls and like balls in the box coming for crosses. That is still kind of his weakness, I would say. But with Raya, he's like a cat. He's like a cat, just jumping.
He's a good goalkeeper, right? Very good. But before moving, I mean, look, I've got to ask you, when Theo Walcott made that comparison, remember Flexx, when Theo Walcott was interviewed and he mentioned about, he asked Wayne Rooney whether this Arsenal team would compete against the Man United 2008 team. I was thinking, like, did he really ask that question? I'm surprised he's still on TV, you know, after that question.
Right? Crazy question to ask. I don't know what he was thinking.
Wayne Rooney, whether this Arsenal team could, seriously, that team won everything. And he's like, I know this is your Arsenal fan, yeah, but what was Theo Walcott thinking when he made that comment? I mean,
I didn't agree. To be honest, I didn't agree. Like,
come on, man.
Yeah,
seriously.
come on now. Like, they'd won something, we haven't, and doesn't make sense.
That's it, man. But so Man City focus. We picked that 3 plays for you to talk to us about. Listen, Semenyo has been fantastic this season. I think he's probably the player of the season, in my opinion. I mean, look at what he did at Bournemouth in the early parts of the season. And what he's done at Man City. Mark Gahey's been awesome since he joined, and obviously Ryan Cherky has been very good. And he's got that X factor. He's got something different in his play, where he's got trickery. You know, he's got that aura about him, right? Like, what have we made of these 3 players?
I think first of all, I think City it was very good business bringing in Gahey and Semenyo at that point of the season. Sometimes Pep is very stubborn because we had the whole of the summer to try and find the people of the quality of Semenyo and Gahey, but for some reason we didn't buy them and we waited till January to get them. So that's besides the point. I think Semenyo he's brought directness and goal scoring, something in attack that lacked outside of Haaland. He's been very good, and even in games he doesn't score, his pressing is on point. In some games, even Pep has he's played him as sort of a number 10, and he caused a lot of havoc in those spaces. Gahey has slotted straight into the defense. Aside maybe the Real Madrid game where you can say there were question marks, he's been solid. Cherky, Cherky's Cherky. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect before he joined Manchester City, but since he's come, he's been a breath of fresh air. Pep Guardiola, he's spoken at length at how Cherky has gone from learning how to play in the City team to now he's kind of the main man in the team, how he's adjusted to pressing and how he's kind of made the whole attack his own. And he's playing with freedom, he's playing with confidence, and that's he's driving the team forward now alongside Semenyo, and 3 very good players, and I hope they show up on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on Bernardo Silva leaving at the end of the season? Are you disappointed with that, or did you expect that to happen?
You know, if you ask City fans, we are mixed. On one hand, one of our longest serving players is going to leave the club, but on the second, I mean, over the past few years, we've always been frustrated when Pep Guardiola names and lineup and Bernardo is in there, because there are some games where all he does is run around and everybody's just like, why is he playing? And there's other games when he steps up, like in the Carabao Cup game, he stepped up very quietly. He didn't, score, he didn't assist, but his contribution in the build-up, moving the ball off the pitch, and at this stage of his career, I'm very surprised he's able to have the engine on him. He's able to pick up the ball in deep areas. He's able to move the team forward. And I think his leadership is something the team will miss very much when he leaves. I mean, he's one of those players you hate to play against and you love to have in your team. So I wish him the best at the end of the season, and I hope he's able to lift at least one more trophy before he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's awesome. I think he's probably one of the most intelligent players in Premier League history. He does everything so well. So yeah, top player there. But I'm going to ask you all, like, who's your player of the season so far? Because again, I've mentioned Semenyo. I think he's been fantastic again at Bournemouth and also at City. Flexx, who's your player of the year so far?
Controversially, I think Bruno Fernandes, I think, has been a standout player. I think, what a player. Personally, I really enjoy watching him play. I think, really good player.
How about you, Adon? Who's your player of the season?
Does it have to be? Could I do one for my club and one not for my club?
Yeah, it's up to you. Well, I think we can have one player though, can't we? So,
Okay.
yeah, trying to be greedy there. But, yeah. Trying to be greedy with that one.
Oh God. If I have to say for my club, then I would say like Gabriel. But if not from my club,
not Declan Rice.
He's up there. It's hard. It's too close to call. But it's either Rice or Gabriel. It's one of the two. If I lean, I'd lean more Gabriel for my club. One that's not been mentioned, outside of like the media or anyone that doesn't play for our clubs, Igor Thiago at Brentford.
Yeah, good shout.
He's only got like 1 or 2 goals away from the Golden Boot, and no one expected Brentford to be where they are.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, Keith Andrews is my manager of the year anyway, but no, Thiago is a very, very good shout there. How about you, Manko? Who's your player of the year so far?
The Ghanaian in me wants to give it to Semenyo because he's first half of the season brilliant at Bournemouth, and in the second half of the season brilliant at Manchester City. He deserves a shout, but I'll say Gabriel, because you can't go through this whole season and be breaking all the defensive records in Premier League history or in recent history, marshal a backline so well, and also be on the end of goals to help your team reach the title. You can't do all that and not be considered the player of the season. Gabriel has been solid. He's been ever present. He scored important goals. He's been there for the crucial blocks to get results. I don't think you can look past him. People say, yeah, he's a defender, but Premier League history, we have defenders who won this award before, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, that's true. That is true. But listen, guys, finish off. I mean, I know, Adon, you're going to get into predictions for Sunday, because I know you're very, very nervous about that. But
and we've got a game tomorrow, which is our
I guess Champions League. As we're recording, it is Tuesday, and Arsenal playing on Wednesday against Sporting Lisbon in the second leg of their quarterfinal. But Flexx, how do you see the game on Sunday going? Like, if you had to make a prediction, who's going to come out on top?
If I'm going to go based on current form and just the eye test, City should come out on top because they are more likely to go for it. But as mentioned, City are slow starters, so Arsenal have an opportunity there to take the game away from them before it gets to the second half. If Arsenal do allow City in the game early or even at all in the second half, could be a very long day. If one goal goes in from City, you can bet maybe 2 or 3 might follow. So I'm backing City for this, just based on pure current form. But I won't be surprised if it ends a draw. And if it is a draw, I look at it as more of a score draw with a little bit of drama. Anthony Taylor is the referee. I think there will be drama.
Yeah, he's. What about you, Manko? How did you see the game? I know you mentioned that you wasn't too confident with City's chances, but how do you see it ending?
Yeah, Mikel Arteta, he has this uncanny ability to shut Pep Guardiola's team down in the last few games we played. So he can shut down the City attack. And one thing I'll give Arsenal is that even though in recent games their set pieces haven't worked, I have a funny feeling that one of them is going to go in on Sunday. So they might sneak a 1-0 win on Sunday. That's what I believe, because they can shut City down and they can get a goal from a corner. So I'll give it to them, 1-0 win.
So, Adon, are you going to lean into the predictions, or are you still going to remain?
I'll send you my prediction after the Sporting game.
That's going to be too late, though, isn't it?
No, really.
Based on right now, I know you're nervous, but based on right now as we speak, do you feel like they've got a chance to at least get a result at City?
They have a chance. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, I don't see it. And it all, like I said, we could beat Sporting tomorrow, but have players out.
Yeah.
For the City game. That's why if we didn't have the Sporting game, then I would predict. But because we've got the game tomorrow, yeah, that's why I said,
that makes sense. It's going to be a great game on Sunday for sure. It's going to set up perfectly, to be honest. But guys, I want to thank you all for joining the podcast today. And as
Hold
always,
on. What's your prediction, buddy?
I'll predict the sporting game. That's all right.
No, I'm talking about Richard. He's skated through this without actually giving his prediction.
listen, my prediction is, you know what? I think City will win the game. I think the way they're playing right now, they played against Liverpool, destroyed them, and obviously against Chelsea, beat Arsenal in the final. I feel like the way they're playing, they've obviously got confidence, but again, the slow starts in games is still a bit concerning. As you mentioned as well, are they gonna, even if they beat Arsenal, they might draw against Burnley. You just don't know. Do you know what I mean? So, but my prediction is City to win. I think they'll win 3-1 on Sunday. I think they'll score early. Arsenal get equalised, and I think they'll just run away with it at that point. But yeah, that will be an interesting game. But guys, again, thanks for joining me today on the podcast. As always, everyone, you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and also X. And of course, please, if you do enjoy the video, leave a like and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. Guys, fellas, it's been good, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.